it's like air.
Good evening, and welcome to a special edition of the Business Buzz. My name is Marty Keena, and I am sitting in for our regular host, Jeffrey Sherman. And it is my pleasure this evening to be sitting here and interviewing a couple of band members from the Screaming Eagle Band. To my far right, I have Tim Britt, who will be sharing some of his talents with us a little bit later on. And to my immediate right, I have biker Mike Turgeon, who has his own story in relationship to his involvement in the band. And my first question in regards to the band, gentlemen, is the whole idea of branding. You know, when you put a product out there, it's very important to get the customer to understand where you're coming from. When you guys came up with the band, Screaming Eagle Band, I'm getting an image which is kind of cool in my head. What were you looking to capture in that kind of imagery in the branding of your band? What is that branding trying to tell people about your music and what you're trying to provide them entertainment-wise?
Basically, I came up with the name when I first started the band about 9 months ago. I came up with the name Screamin' Eagle Band because I am a big Harley enthusiast. I like to ride. And I did like the performance line of Harley Davidson. I like the name Screamin' Eagle, so I kind of, took a little bit from that. And I also wanted to portray the name Screamin' Eagle Band because I'm a big Southern rock fan.
Okay.
And I thought the Screamin' Eagle Band, with if you go back to the old Eagles album, like with the Wings, the Aerosmith, Get Your Wings. Mm-hmm. So I kind of took some of their concepts and we made it our own. Our drummer's girlfriend, Jeannie Rolston, did the design for us. So
Very
I want
nice.
to give her props for that because she did do the logo for us.
Okay.
And
did a great job.
And she did, I couldn't be more pleased with the final product and everything.
So there was a lot of thought going on behind this. And
yes.
So what is the image that you're trying to portray with Screaming Eagle? You talk about Harley. A lot of people give that an edge kind of look, a hard edge per se.
American.
American.
American, good old down, rock and roll. American rock and roll is really what it comes down to.
Okay.
And I'm proud to be American.
And now it's more than just yourselves in the band, I would assume, correct?
Yes, there's 3 other members besides me and Timmy. We have Andy Winters on the drums. We have Mr. Carl Ricci on the guitar. And J.R. Roberts on the bass.
Nice. And, when you talk about bands and you look at bands in the past, there's always been this surreptitious kind of path that people have gone on to kind of come together. How was it that you guys have all come together at this point in time in your lives to come up with the Screaming Eagle Band?
Well, I got a pretty long history. I was doing late 80s, early 90s. I was with the Blues Express. And we were sharing the stage with people like Johnny Winter, James Cotton. Johnny used to ask for the Blues Express when he played Toad's Place. Mm-hmm. So we did, that was blues and blues rock.
And that's legendary. Those folks are legendary.
Yeah, like a ZZ Top kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And I moved forward to be in a couple alternative acts. We got looked at by Atlantic. We're doing showcases. And then from there, interestingly enough, I ended up in a band called Tommy and the Rivieras. Yeah. And this was the band, this is I think their 51st anniversary. They're the band that opened up for the Doors the night Jim Morrison got arrested down there.
Down in Miami?
If you've ever seen the movie, The Doors.
Sure.
Tommy and the Rivieras
I was a big Doors fan.
So the singer kept that band together and gave me a call and said, so I spent quite a bit of time with those guys. They got a Christmas record coming out, and it was a mutual friend of ours.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically I could take over from here. I started the band with my other guitarist, Mr. Carl Ricci. I started it, and we formerly had a member called Gene Donaldson, who was he's what we say is a guitar legend around here in Connecticut. Mm-hmm. He's played in the Motown Revue.
Okay.
And that's who I started out was with Gene Donaldson and Carl Ricci. And I had a concept that we were going to do an acoustic thing. And then I decided it just wasn't powerful enough for me. It was missing what I really wanted. So that's when I hired J.R. Roberts and Andy Winters, and they came in, and we formed the Screamin' Eagle Band, because before that was this Biker Mike and the Screaming Eagle duo.
I see.
But I didn't want to have that biker image because I am a biker-friendly guy.
Yes.
Not an MC Club member, you know. So we started going out with Gene, and Gene was involved in a lot of other projects. So eventually Gene bowed out because he couldn't play enough shows.
Okay.
And through work, I met Mr. Mark Fisk, who is the singer in Tommy and the Rivieras. And he introduced me to Tim. And it was just basically chemistry was crazy right off the bat. Timmy's a very talented and gifted musician who I am so pleased to have in the band.
Well, we'll have a chance to get a taste of that in a few minutes. But, you know, a lot of our audience are youth, and, you know, they might be interested, you know, listening to a band on the Business Buzz this evening. So if we could just go back in time from your own timelines and talk about the development of you as musicians and maybe some of your early influences. And, you know, we seem to think that we've heard in your initial introduction that there's a bit of an itinerant lifestyle when it comes to being a musician. You go from here and you go from there. Maybe you could speak to the youth, some of the younger people who might be in a band, who might be interested in picking up an instrument. What are some of the things, as you look back at what your development was like, that you might give them some keys to, you know, focus on and, you know, so they can move forward maybe in their own careers?
Well, I can say, you know, from true experience, music's been really, really good to me. One of the things that it helps people, if you're talking about younger people, you know, it takes a certain amount of discipline to learn lyrics.
Very true.
You know, it takes,
a lot of
you know, you got to
dedication.
practice. It's not, and, you know, I mean, a lot of people when they start out, they want to be a professional athlete, you know, and I'm no different. But I realized I probably wasn't going to be running for the Detroit Lions, you know. So
Not when they had Barry Sanders.
Exactly.
so, you know, but I really like music, and I like bands like Kiss, you know, Aerosmith.
Now, would you listen to bands and riffs and then try to mimic them? Or
Oh, absolutely. That's
there's
where
the
it starts
story
out.
of, you know, the blues, Stevie Ray Vaughan would listen to Hendrix and then try to mimic, and he'd be...
Hendrix was a big, real big one. And the thing is, he was just like Hendrix, man. Everything he did was cool. The way he sat down was cool.
Sure. But
I
no,
mean,
that's
so-
at a whole nother level. But the whole idea of listening and mimicking is okay. And not everything
Sure,
has to be
absolutely, yeah.
original.
I mean,
I'll never forget when I was, you know, probably about 8 or 9 years old. My uncle, who's passed away now, but he introduced me to Elvis Presley.
Okay.
You know, and that's when, for me, the love of rock and roll was through Elvis Presley. I mean, I used to sit around and mimic him and you know, and sing to my parents and try to act like Elvis and do the pelvic moves and the whole 9 yards.
Right.
My love of singing was started at such a young age. Even though I didn't develop as a singer later, didn't know I could sing until I was a later age. But, you know, bands coming up, and then I became a huge Kiss fan because of the makeup and
Sure.
the whole concept. You know, it was great for kids, you know what I mean? It was something that, you know, you could get lost in. You know, then the Southern rock scene came along,
Yep.
and I got a chance to meet Ricky Medlock of Blackfoot, and I was backstage with those guys, and just being a fan of music for so long and being around these such talented and gifted people, it just gave me the urge to want to do this.
And the thing that I heard originally was it takes practice, it takes dedication, it could take years. I mean, to start to build up the strength in your hands,
There's
to
nothing
muscle
easy
memory per se.
about this business.
if you're,
Everything is work, hard work, and dedication.
you're talking about branding and business scene. This is a business show.
Correct.
You know, when you think about a band like Kiss, their image, their music, it all works together, okay? And the Screamin' Eagle Band, it just happened organically, you would say, that the kind of guys we are, works with the type of music that we write.
Right.
We'd like to play a song now. And, you know, the audience that we attract is a lot like us, you know?
Yeah, basically it's people, you know, I mean, we did play a good college bar the other day and down at Stores, Pub 32. And I'll tell you, the kids were very receptive, you know, to what we were doing. And it was great to know that we can reach an audience that is, you know, close to 20 years younger than us.
Right, but the music then speaks to them, and the kind of background that you were just speaking to sort of morphs through your music that they can relate to.
You got to be real. You know, you got to be yourself. You got to be real, because if you're trying to, you know, if you're trying to do something that you're not, you know, people pick up on it.
Okay, so Tim, what do you think the folks would like to hear that would be representative of the kind of music you guys present?
Well, I wrote a song called Mississippi Mud, and we're going to do that now.
It's a classic tune.
Taking my time out on a ride with the cutie from the party next door. Out on a run, having some fun with the baby with the floor on the floor. Told you she sure is fine, yeah, gonna tote to a real good time. Now we're headed for a party and a bonfire tonight. Everything's gonna be alright. Mississippi mud and moonshine and cornbread are things that are dear to me. Mississippi mud and a barbecue sounds like the place to be. If you think I'm gonna change and rearrange, you got another thing coming to you. 'Cause where I come from, we have some fun, and so should you. I got an Indian trike and a Harley bike and a wallet that's full of grain. It's a beautiful day and the sunshine bright, yeah, fun like living the dream. When night rolls around, we'll be going to town. The party's gonna be just fun. So hand me my glass and a moonshine flask. We won't quit till we see the sun. Mississippi mud and moonshine and cornbread are things that are dear to me. Mississippi mud and a barbecue sounds like the place to be. If you think I'm gonna change and rearrange, you got another thing coming to you. Where I come from, we have some fun, and so should you.
Yeah, we're gonna kick back just a little bit here. Hey Tim, what do you say they go and fetch us another beer, huh?
That's for sure. Come on, honey. Sit right down.
Mississippi mud and moonshine and cornbread are things that are dear to me. Mississippi mud and a barbecue sounds like the place to be. If you think I'm gonna change and rearrange, you got another thing coming to you. 'Cause where I come from, we have some fun, and so should you.
Wow, terrific. That is awesome.
Oops, sorry.
Thank you.
What a great, you have a strong voice. And you said you came to that late in your discovery of your talent.
I didn't know I can sing till 3 years ago.
That was awesome, Tim. You really got a command of that neck. That's awesome. So it came to you late in the shower? How did you find that?
It's so funny because about 10 years ago, actually, a friend of mine, Mr. Danny Collins, who is a local guitarist from around, had heard me sing. And, I said, dude, you sound pretty good. And, most of the time your friends tell you, you suck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I like, yeah, you're pulling my leg, And he's like, no. He says, dude, you sound good. You should come down and do a couple songs. So I went down and I did a couple cover songs for him. And next thing you know, they asked me to come up and do a show. But I never really did anything from there on. And then about 6, 7 years later, former members of Sinus Galley invited me to come up and do a show with them at the South End Festival in Hartford.
Okay, sure.
I went up, I did a couple songs with them, and that was it. I was bitten. I was determined to get into a band. But the problem is, at the age I was at the time, not having any experience, nobody wanted to hire me. I'd go in, do the audition, I'd maybe know 1 or 2 songs, but they wouldn't give me the time to learn the songs. And finally, a band called the Green Label Band gave me my first shot. Took the time to let me learn the songs, and got in with them. Was with them for about 1.5 years. We had a mutual split, and I just had to keep going. And that's when I contacted Carl, and Screamin Eagle Band all started from that.
That's tremendous.
I got to say, as far as of this business, if you're if it's what you're about and who you are, this business chooses you. You don't choose it.
It's almost like in any art. You know, artists that are visual artists would probably say the same thing, that it was something that was organic and that they needed to express themselves in whatever manner it was, whether it was in pottery or music. And how did that change you? I mean, has music changed you as people?
Sure. I went to Avon Old Farms for a couple of years. It's prep school.
Right around the corner.
And the first year, you know, I mean, I was waiting on tables. I had to do all kinds of stuff to have a scholarship. And I had started playing guitar. And the first year, you know, it was away from home and all that stuff. And I was the youngest kid in my class. And had a couple friends, but not a big deal. Went home that summer, learned how to play guitar. Came back, and it was fantastic. I got with this guy who could also play guitar and sang. And then we started doing gigs at Miss Porter's girls' school.
Oh.
And next thing you know, girls are calling up, man, and it was, you know.
Opened up doors.
Hey, anything to do with girls, I guess, huh?
That's right. Girls and rock and roll, they kind of go back
Hey, you
hand
know
in hand.
something? I'm not complaining. It's a lot of fun. You know, we've met a lot of wonderful people playing out. I mean, and that's really what it comes down to, people, is appreciating your fans, because if it wasn't for the people that come and see our shows, we are nothing.
Now, you have a number of shows planned here in the region?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we have some upcoming shows. We got this upcoming Saturday night, we're playing down at Jay's Crab Shack.
That's April
26th, yep. And then we got May 3rd, we're actually playing at the Summers Lions Club at the Shallowbrook Equestrian Center, which is an outdoor gig from 4 to 8, which is going to be, hopefully we have a beautiful day and it's going to be awesome. And then we have a couple more dates. May 10th, we're playing at AJ's Oasis out in Meriden. May 11th, we're playing in Winstead at the Brass Horse.
So right in the general central Connecticut kind of area, people could find you most every weekend at this point.
Yes,
as I'm
and they
looking
can
at your
visit our
calendar.
website at screamineagleBand.com.
And that's SCREAMIN.
Screamin.
Screamin with no G.
No G.
Without the
It's
G,
all
because we
one
are
word.
screaming.
ScreaminEagleBand.com.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Do you have another number that you want to share, or was that it today?
Yeah, I got one that we're.
This is one that Timmy just actually brought to me today before we came
So
down,
we're
and I
having
thought
an
it was
unveiling
great.
here.
And he's gonna be the lead vocals on this one for today. Eventually, we'll bring it into our Screamin' Eagle Band mode.
There you go.
I give you Mike on the telephone, calls me up to say, having a little party at Nutmeg TV, and they want us all to play. We got those hanging out blues, get them every day.
We got those hanging out blues, yeah. We're gonna be hanging out down at Nutmeg TV, brother.
Got Triple B, Business
I know
Buzz
what
Blues.
to tell
There you
you.
go.
I mean, how to spend your time.
And this is what's nice about the blues.
Always be productive and things will
can
turn out
ad-lib.
fine. But not us, we got those hanging out blues. What do we got, Mike?
Yeah, we got the hanging out blues. Me and my boy, Mr. Timmy, we gonna be hanging out with the blues.
Terrific. You know what I
from
love so far
Chicago.
in both those pieces, you've got some, the blues, which is totally linked to the rock and roll scene. You had R&B and country kind of blended into your previous song. So, our listening audience, our viewing audience obviously is understanding that. But going back to the kids, just learning those first few chords and just having some fun with your friends, with the lyrics, If you had a special project at school, maybe get permission from your teacher to write a song about the data instead of not just having to write a report.
What really makes a lot of the best songs out there, that for me is songs that I can relate to, that are true life stories that happen to people in their life.
Yep.
And it's not always the same meaning for everybody. One set of words can mean 20 different things to 20 different people.
Right.
But if it makes you feel emotion, and that's what it was for music with me, is the emotion I feel out of people's lyrics and just the music.
You become a
content
wordsmith.
itself.
You start playing around with it. Do
Yeah.
you sit around collectively in that regard, or do you pretty much hold to one people?
Actually, we're going to have a third single that's going to be coming out. We have our next single is called Modern Day Outlaw, which he came up with the title on that one, and then I came up with the title of was going to be our third song on our EP. Is called Smoking with the Preacher.
Terrific.
You know,
some great imagery just in the titles, and so that would certainly draw people in to want to listen to you. Now, online, have you put anything down where people could actually listen to a piece, like on an MP3 or?
We actually have one video back in the day, and this is the only video we have on YouTube right now. Somebody posted it, but it actually wasn't a bad video. The sound quality is not too bad. And we had at the time a special guest appearance from Mr. Jimmy Bell, who is a member of House of Lords, who they just came back off their European tour. And he's a member of Max Explosion, which is a big, popular band around here right now.
But we're recording this album now. Matter of fact, we'll be in the studio tonight.
Yeah, so if they do want to hear a track that, one of the Screamin' Eagle Band songs on YouTube, it's under Screamin' Eagle Band.
Now, there's been a lot of, we had Big Al Anderson come out of the greater Hartford area back in the day. We still have some really noted kind of performers coming out of the region. What is it about Connecticut? People wouldn't think that Connecticut is an arts region. Are you finding support as artists, to be creative? Is Connecticut fertile in that regard?
We are, right?
From our point of view, our band itself, people have been really receptive to what we're doing. When we play our song out in the bars and the local clubs and, private parties, we do our original, and people genuinely love it. They really do, and they get up and dance to it.
Yeah.
And they automatically assume it's, well, I know that song, I've heard that song before. And that's great that people can, catch the riff, make the connection with it that quickly. Because, and then when you tell them that's our original, they're stunned. Yeah. They're stunned, Because
we got to have good material. If you're playing other artists, their best tunes, that they recorded, their _1 hits, and you're going to drop one of yours
pieces, and then you'll also be doing your own
stuff.
your
thing has, it better be, pretty good.
Normally, when you're up there performing for your gig, that's 2 or 3 hours, correct? So there's a lot of time up there.
We're usually in the club for 4 hours, and we play for 3.
You have pre and post production, I guess you would do.
Yeah, the crowds are great. We really appreciate all the people that come out. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we can't say thank you enough to Nutmeg TV.
We can't say how much more pleased we are to have you here on this special edition of the Business Buzz. Is there something that we haven't touched upon that you would hope to be able to talk about now that we're almost at the end of the show? Is there something that we need to maybe clean up a few corners?
Not really.
We're in pretty good shape?
We're in pretty good shape.
Well, we really appreciate Tim Britt and Biker Mike for joining us here this evening and the special edition of the Business Buzz. And we encourage you to check them out online so you can find out where they are in the upcoming weekends here in the general Hartford region in Connecticut. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.